All right, here we are, and I already have a message in the chat. Starting a few minutes early today, hopefully my audio is okay. Emilio, thank you so much. I'm honestly, uh, it kind of blows my mind that people wait for me to start. So, it's it's very flattering. I love it and I appreciate it. So thank you. And I am starting a few minutes early today because I I got a head start. So I started working on things a little bit this afternoon. I was um, I was really happy with the progress that I made yesterday working on the product list with Cart. And it's one of these things where I woke up in the middle of the night, I couldn't get back to sleep, and I was just thinking about it. So I started working ahead. I got a couple of the things done here, but I want to show you first. I took a new approach with ChatGPT today. I I was like, okay, I feel like I just need to be more, I don't know, is aggressive the right word? But I was basically like, I need to tell ChatGPT that it needs to do better at following instructions. And I've seen some YouTube videos where people get so detailed with their prompts. Like they get very detailed and they say, like, this is your job. These are my expectations. This is what I want you to do. And I try so hard to be detailed in what I ask out of it. And I'm consistently being disappointed as things get more complex. I'm being disappointed by the results I'm getting, and I really believe that I'm only going to get out of it what I put into it. So I'm going to show you what I had it do here, how I started this conversation today. So first I continued the conversation that we started yesterday, and I said, I want to continue this conversation today. Here are the requirements for you. You have a specific job. One, when I add code for you to analyze and review, please do not make suggestions for improvements until I ask for them. Almost all of the code I'm using, you gave me. There's no reason for you to tell me it should be improved. Two, all code should be in the canvas for readability. Do you understand? I felt so uncomfortable doing this, and then I remembered ChatGPT is not a human being, it's not a person. I'm not being rude because I'm telling a machine who I paid $20 a month for to do what I want it to do. So, understood. I'll follow those instructions closely. When you add code, I'll analyze and respond as needed, and always use the canvas for readability. No suggestions for improvement unless you specifically ask for them. Ready when you are. Beautiful. Then I copied and pasted in the entire main.js. So this file right here that we left off on yesterday. I just copied and pasted the entire thing in. And it did give me some suggestions. So let's move down here. So here's what I copied and pasted in, and we'll get back down to the canvas here in a second. But there was a continuation of this conversation. I want to show you how I was able to work ahead. So I copied and pasted it in, and it said, your code has been added to the canvas. Let me know if there are any specific areas you'd like me to analyze, debug, or modify. And then it did put some notes in the canvas that I could either apply or dismiss. And so I looked at them, but I just sort of disregarded them for the moment. So the first thing I did was I wanted the increment and decrement to change the quantity here. So I wanted to be able to change this quantity by going up or down with the increment or decrement buttons. And we still have additional HTML and CSS to do here, so that's not lost on me. Once we get all of this JavaScript in place and all of the functionality working, we're going to go back and tighten up all of our HTML and CSS. So I'm just not worried about that right now. So that was the first thing that I did. And I specifically said there's a div with class cart plus minus with two buttons. One button has a class decrement, and one button has a class, ooh, this was a typo. I should have said increment. But the code was correct. So between the two buttons is a span with a class item quantity. Please help me with this functionality. So it said, I've added the functionality for incrementing and decrementing the item quantity. It listens for clicks on the appropriate buttons within each grid item. Let me know if you need any further assistance or additional functionality. So let's go back here, and it updated the add to cart function. So it added right here, it added increment and decrement and an event listener within the add to cart function. So I said thank you, or I said excellent, this works perfectly. And then I said next, div class item price needs to be displayed in dollars and cents. Right now the value from the JSON is a number, not a string with one decimal place. So it did this right here. It gave me the 2 fixed with a decimal place of 2. Excellent. I've updated the code to ensure that the item price is displayed with 2 decimal places, effectively formatting it as dollars and cents. Let me know if there's anything else you'd like to adjust. I said next, so things started to get a little hairy at this point. We had to go back and forth. The nice thing about the canvas is that it does save versions, so you can go backwards in versions, restore a version, but it doesn't roll back the chat. So I still have the full chat history, even though I can roll the canvas back to a previous version and restore it. And I've had to, it made changes to markup, and it made mistakes with syntax and like brackets and parentheses and things like that. And it just couldn't seem to fix it. So rolling it back a couple of times actually worked really well. So I said next, the add to cart function must reflect a price change when the quantity goes up or down. This number value should also be in dollars and cents or 2 decimal places. And so this is where we had to go back and forth a couple of times. I've updated add to cart function and set up cart plus minus to reflect changes in price when the quantity is increased or decreased. Each item's total price will now be correctly displayed with 2 decimal places based on the quantity. Let me know if this works for you or if you need further adjustments. And I was like, yeah, can you please double check your work? You mistakenly changed the markup. And I tried to fix the markup. Like I saw it change the markup in real time as it was going through the canvas. And I was like, well, that's wrong, but I see what it did and I tried to fix it. And there was something else wrong that I didn't see. So this is the other thing that I've noticed about the canvas is that it doesn't actually tell you what lines are changed or added. So it doesn't, it's like sometimes there's highlighting in the canvas with like the note or the suggestion, but if something in the canvas changes, I don't see what lines are changed, and I don't want to just copy and paste the entire document. I want to see what lines are changed. And so it kept telling me I've reviewed and corrected the latest changes to ensure the markup stays intact. The functionality for updating the item total when incrementing or decrementing the quantity is now properly integrated while keeping the markup consistent with the intended structure. Let me know if this works better, blah, blah, blah. And this is the first time I restored. I said, I restored the previous version. Please do this again. Do not change my markup in the add to cart function. You added markup last time instead of modifying the markup. And then I basically I pasted in the previous thing that I wanted it to do, which is a restatement of next, the add to cart function must reflect the price. And it did it again. It was like, okay, I've updated the code so that the add to cart function now updates the price dynamically. And I said, please check your work. There's something wrong with the brackets. And this is where I actually did copy and paste the entire document back into main.js because, again, when it updates the canvas, I can't see what lines specifically are being updated. So I'm like forced to copy and paste the entire document in because it's getting so much more complex. And the brackets were off. I couldn't fix it because I couldn't see what was what. I've updated the add to cart and setup functions to ensure, and I was like, no, it's wrong. The brackets and syntax are wrong. Check your work again. And it just couldn't do it. This is the first time I've seen failed to edit, which to me is wild. How is this little main.js file so complicated that ChatGPT can't handle this? Does this make sense? If you're worried about ChatGPT taking over your job as a developer, you have nothing to worry about at this point. It's not happening anytime soon. Okay, I attempted to update the add to cart function to ensure that the price is updated correctly when the quantity changes, and I also made modifications to the setup cart plus minus function to ensure proper quantity handling. However, the update for setup cart plus minus was equivalent to the current content, leading to a failure in the update. If you have any additional changes, blah, blah, blah. I said, you seem to be struggling. I've restored a previous version, so this is my second time restoring a previous version. Please try this again. I need the price in the add to cart function to change when I increment or decrement the item quantity. Tell me, this was the key right here also. Tell me exactly which lines of code have been added or changed. So let me go back to the canvas now. Well, here, let's finish reading this, but this is the canvas. This is when it finally got it right. I've updated the add to cart function to include logic that updates the item price when the quantity changes, incremented or decremented. Here are the specific lines that were added or changed. So it couldn't tell me the line number, which I think is disappointing because the canvas has line numbers, so I don't know why it couldn't tell me the line number. I think it should be able to do that. But it at least pointed me in the right direction. So line modified and add to cart added a current quantity variable to track the number of items. So that is right here. So we're basically initializing this number variable. Updated cart item markup. Updated the quantity span to use current quantity. Added increment and decrement logic, added event listeners to increment button and decrement button to update current quantity and the item total. And that is down here. So here's the item quantity span right here. And then here's the event listeners so that when we go up or down, we change the quantity and we change the price in the cart. And let's go back here to the canvas. We can expand this again. So yeah, I mean, this is so interesting to me to learn how to use ChatGPT. I'm finding that I have to be, I don't know, for lack of a better term, I feel like I kind of have to be an asshole in order to get the results that I want. I have to talk to ChatGPT in a way that I would never talk to another human being. And it makes me uncomfortable. And I feel weird even stating that the way I do, because I know ChatGPT is not a person. So this is just turning out to be such an interesting experience for me. So if you find yourself in a position like this with ChatGPT, I don't know how often you use it. I don't know what kind of results you get. I would say most of the time I get really good results, but I do use it enough where things like this happen fairly frequently, and I don't know how to get past it. So I feel like today I had a breakthrough in figuring out how to get past it, and it's that I'm only going to get as good of a result as the question that I ask. So I hope this helps you because it's helping me. And here we are. So without further ado, let's go ahead and make this a little bit bigger. We can now add things to the cart and change the quantity. And we don't go below 0, so I love that. So we have more to do though. And you know, I realize that we need to, there's a lot of markup, HTML, CSS to do. I don't care about any of those things right now. The only thing I care about is making sure that we have this functionality figured out. And we'll go back and fix all that other stuff. So I'm very happy with this. And now we can dismiss these things. So, yay. Abdallah is here. Hi. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us today. Abdallah, if you are interested in sharing your experience of what this was like building the product list with cart, because you're finished and your code functioned beautifully, I would love to know if you relied on ChatGPT or if you felt pretty confident in your own skills, JavaScript skills, building this. I would love to know your experience. Yeah, so let's figure out what we need to get done today to move forward. We need to, so I would like to, the next thing that I would like to do is if we dismiss something, we need to remove this active class and reactivate the original button. And then that would also mean that we have to reset this counter. So that, I think that's the first thing that we need to do. Am I gonna attempt to do some of this on my own? See, I feel like I have enough code here now that I should be doing a much better job attempting to figure some of these things out and not leaning on ChatGPT. Okay, so let's write a little bit of pseudocode to figure out what the next thing is going to be. Well, where is our remove? Here's the remove right here. So when we remove, we are removing the child. What else are we going to do? We are going to we need to really change this, don't we? And these are in two different functions. So I feel like, and since add to cart is here, I feel like we could, I have to think about this. So when we remove a button, we want to So Abdallah says, of course I use the help of ChatGPT. It is normal that I do not remember everything. God bless America. I am right there with you. I remember very little. This is why I version control everything. Speaking of which, I did get this into GitHub. I'll go ahead and share the link if anybody's interested in looking at my code. I haven't updated it yet today, but I will at the end of the day. I also went ahead and deployed this. Where are we? It's probably right here. Here we go. Hopefully you can see that. There we go. Okay, so here's our if statement to add and remove those classes. I feel like we should, I'm not sure what to do. I feel like we should be able to do this here as well. So I'm tempted, but this runs inside the if statement that adds the active classes. Excuse me. What? No, no, no. That's my dog Heidi. She barks at me anytime I cough or sneeze. Yeah, you're kind of wound up today, aren't you? Yeah. Can you go lay down? Yeah, you go lay down. Okay. Okay. So if the cart list contains, we kind of do have to put an else in here, except that I'm not sure what to do. I have to think about this for a second. Add functionality to remove the item from the cart. See, I want to do it here, but the add to cart gets called inside the if statement, so I don't know if that will have an impact. I want to put an else statement here that if that button is clicked, it removes the item. So remove, I think see, I have to call, yeah, I think it's better to put it here because the click event, yeah, grid item is here. So we can get something from the grid item. Yeah. So Abdallah is saying, first we want to make it so that when you delete an item from the cart, it also gets deleted from the desserts list. I don't think I don't have a desserts list. I have an inner HTML. I'm just building a list inside the cart. Okay, I'm having issues with the chat today. YouTube is telling me that the chat is being disconnected. So if you're having trouble with chat, I apologize for that. So I can already delete from the cart. So I can remove here by clicking that. But once I remove this, I also need it to add the active class. And I think I can do that right here because we have access to the grid item inside this function. So the grid item is this. Const grid item cart button closest grid item. Which we should already have access to here. Where's grid item inside this function? Oh yeah, it's right here. Well, it's right here. Okay. So I'm just gonna say cart button equals query selector, and it's cart button and cart plus minus. Cart button. So when we remove the button, we're removing this thing, and then we're saying if cart button class list. Oh, but we have to loop through all of them and find the one that matches, don't we? Yeah, because we have to match them up. I think, Abdallah, didn't you put like a an attribute on yours? I remember seeing that in your markup. That's probably, I'm guessing that's how you match them up, is you match the attributes. Am I right? Which would make sense. Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, so that would actually save a ton of hassle, wouldn't it, to just match up a data attribute. Okay, let's just ask about it. Set attribute. Okay, let's see what the advice is. When I remove an item from the cart, I want to reset the item quantity on the grid item and add an active class to the cart button and remove the active class from the plus minus cart div. What's the best way to achieve this? Should I set a data attribute to match the grid item to the cart item? Failed to edit. Okay, let's see what it says here. Add logic to reset grid item quantity and toggle the button classes. When an item is removed from the cart, the corresponding grid item should reset its quantity and button states. This involves adding back the active class to the add to cart button, removing the active class from the plus minus div, resetting the item quantity to 1. Add a data attribute to identify grid items. Added a data item name attribute to each grid item so that we can easily match it with the items in the cart. However, the update failed due to an issue with the regular expression pattern. It seems the original text wasn't properly matched. If you can guide me to the exact section in the document where you'd like these changes, I can try to assist further. Okay, so I think that the attribute needs to go onto this, the grid item. So starting on, well, hang on, I think this I actually can do. Where we go? So class list add, we also want to do, how do you add an attribute? MDN set attribute. All right here. Oh, stop. So we want to do the name. I'll do data label. And then the name should be actually in backticks. I'm just going to say the item name. And then, yeah, that should just put an attribute. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. So that should put an attribute. Beautiful. Data label. No problem, Abdallah. I know that you are still here. I'm also getting weird messages in my chat saying chat just connected. Please wait while we try to reconnect you, which I've never seen happen before. It's happened like 3 times. So no problem. But I think that this is what we need, is we need this data label because we need to be able to match the items in the cart with something in the grid to know that when we dismiss this thing, we know exactly which button we need to dismiss. So let's get this data label now on the cart items as well. So if we go look at this, you can see here that these articles don't have that data label. So we're going to do the same thing here. And that is right up here. Oh, why does that say $1? I think that's a mistake. There we go. All right, so we're literally going to do the same thing right here. Except it's going to be cart item. Oops. What do we do here? Whoop. Well. Oh. Put it after? Let's see here. This is the wrong thing. We want the name. Oh, and our name is missing also, isn't it? Oh, we're missing a few things here. Let's see here. Okay. Didn't even notice that. So we're missing a div here. Yeah, we are. All right, I didn't even notice that. Let's go back up to the top here. So we're missing our item name. We're missing this. So here's our item name. So this is what we want here. Oh, we just can. I thought the cart looked a little bare. There we go. That works. Now let's make sure that this has its attribute. There we go. So now we need to just match up those data labels. Okay. So I still think that we do this here. So we want to say, well, we have to define the data labels. So I'm just going to say data label equals thank you, Monique and Abdallah. I appreciate you. Okay, so our data label would be the cart item. Well, hang on, we want the, I'm just going to say data grid item, which would be grid item. Oh, wait a second. How do I get the, how do I define the, it's get attribute, right? Get attribute. Div get attribute right here. Emilio is here. Hello, Emilio. We started a few minutes early, like 40 minutes ago, but I'm happy to have you here. Thank you for joining. Okay, so we're gonna get the attribute, and it's which is just the item name, right? Yeah. Okay, so we're going to get grid item. Oh no, it's what am I doing? Yeah, get attribute. Get attribute. And we're getting it's the grid item get attribute, which is well, I guess they're both the item name, right? Yeah. They're both the item name. And then we want the const data cart. Cart item is cart item get attribute, which would also be the item name. So if the data grid item equals the cart, the data cart item, then cart button class list remove active cart plus minus, no, this is add active class list remove active. I'll put this first. Wow, wouldn't it be amazing if this actually worked? Let's see. Yeah, I knew that was too good to be true. Oh, I spelled this wrong. No way. Okay, well, we have to reset the item quantity, but no way. What the frick? Get out of town. Where's my mouse? Hang on, mouse. That just happened. That just happened. Wow. I'm so happy right now. You guys, thank you so much for being here with me on this journey, because this type of, like, I'm about to get a little touchy-feely right now. This type of vulnerability is what kept me from streaming for years. Because I was just so scared to, like, show people that I didn't know how to do so many things. And I finally was just like, F it, you have to do it. You want to do it. I want to do it. I want to be better, and I want to share this experience. And I just appreciate so much that people are watching with me because this is the coolest feeling in the world. It never gets old. Never gets old. After 11 years, I still get so excited to do stuff like this. This is so freaking cool. Okay. Wow. This makes me so happy. Okay, so we have a couple things that we have to do. So, like for our lemon meringue pie, when we dismiss that and then re-add it, the lemon meringue pie does get reset back to 1, but this counter also needs to be reset back to 1. So Monique is thanking me for being real and showing the journey. Happy you decided to do it. It's a great help. You know, that's the thing, right? Is this is ultimately why I decided to do it, because I do really feel strongly about new developers seeing that this is a journey. It is a process. You have to practice. Practicing this stuff is so important. You got to stay fresh. There's just no other way to do it. And you know, I really love my job. I've been in the same job for almost 7 years. But I've also been working on the same code base for almost 7 years. And I know it like the back of my hand. It is my baby. I have poured my heart and soul into it, and I'm so proud of the work that I've done for my organization. But I also knew that I wasn't being asked to do things that I wanted to know how to do, and like being better at JavaScript was one of those things. Like, this is not the stuff I would ever build for my organization, but it's stuff that I feel like I need to learn and I want to learn. So, okay, so let's figure out how to. Now we just need to make sure that we're resetting our quantity when we remove these things. So that shouldn't be that hard. That shouldn't be that hard. We should be able to reset our quantity. Where is our quantity here? So the quantity is, well, it's not this quantity. It's this. It's this, wait a second. No, it's not that quantity. It's, where are you? Why can't I find you? It's right here. It's the item quantity. So I think we just have to say item quantity equals 1. I think that's all we have to do. So let's make sure that, yeah. So no, we're going to say let item. Oh, do we already have item quantity span in here someplace? Yeah, right here. So this should probably be let. And then we can say So, okay, hang on, I have to think about this. So the item quantity scan is the actual selector. And this is the cart item. So yeah, it's the wrong thing. Okay. So I'm going to say const grid item quantity equals is the cart item query selector item quantity And then we're gonna, hang on. It's the value, it's the inner HTML. So it would be, inner HTML equals 1, right? We just reset it back to 1. How did we reset this? Whoop. Let's look at how that got reset. Oh, well, when we remove it, remove child, current quantity. How do I reset that? Oop. Oh, I think that this probably should not just be a 1. This probably should be, yeah, this should probably be an actual value, not just a hard-coded 1. So let's do, we'll say item quantity. Yeah, I think item quantity, category name, price. So I'm going to say, let item quantity equal 1. Where is it? I can't see it. Right here. And then I think we can just get, okay, well, let's, pretty sure that's going to work. Okay. If increment button, item quantity span, quantity plus 1. Okay, I understand this. Did I put this here? Yes. So here's all the stuff for the cart. Here's the stuff for the, oh wait, cart grid item right here. Grid, it's the grid item. Not the cart. Yay, we did it. See, I knew that should have worked. Look at us. Wow, this is exciting. Look at that, all reset. All right. Yay. Okay. Whew, we got more to do, but we're on a roll. We're on a roll, baby. Are my quantities still working? Yep. Okay, so now let's pull up our, I know there's stuff missing here from the cart, like the quantity of items and then like the total price. So we got a little more to do here. So let's pull up our mock-ups, the design specs, so we can actually, so I can remember what it is that we're supposed to do here. Okay. So we need our cart total and we need our order total. So we have a little math to do. Let's see here. There we go. Okay, so I definitely have markup here. So this is where I was kind of struggling yesterday with where do I finish putting this stuff? I was thinking about it last night. Where do I put this? Do I put it back in the HTML, which is what I want to do, but I wanted to have full cart not be added unless the cart is added. So can I like nest inner HTMLs? Can I do like one inner HTML and then nest another inner HTML? I think it would be better to just put this back into, I think it would be better to just put this back into our markup. And I'll deal with the full cart versus empty cart later. Yeah, I'm just gonna deal with that. Those are CSS issues that I just don't care about right now. So here's the cart container. So let's change it to make sure that when we add to cart, we're adding to the cart container, because right now we're adding to the side wrap. So where is that? It's a grid item. Okay, where are you? Side wrap. Right here. Cart sidebar. So cart container, we're going to change this class. Okay, good. So now we're just going to do some math. Well, first we're going to add up all of our items, and then we'll do an inner HTML to access this right here. So I'm going to take this out. And let's put something a little semantic on here. Let's see, we'll do secondary header. I'm going to add a second class called your cart number items. So I have a second class here called your cart number items. We'll take that out. And okay, we want to total everything up. So we're probably going to want to total up these numbers. Yeah. Add functionality for increment and decrement. So where's the math for the actual cart? So here's the actual plus minuses here, the control the buttons on each individual item. And then here's the plus minuses here. So, okay, I have to think about this for a second. I feel like we literally just need to count. Or we could just get, because the number is reflected up here, so I feel like we would just total up the current quantity. We would just get whatever these are and total them up. But do we get them? Do we get them from up there? Or do we count, like, do we literally just count the clicks here? Okay. I'm going to ask for help on this one because I think that counting the clicks here seems like the better approach. So let's go back down to the canvas. How do I count the total number of items in the cart? Current quantity X item price. Let's see, to count the total number of items in the cart, you can add a function that calculates the sum based on the cart's current contents. This could be updated each time an item is added or removed. Below is how you could modify the code to achieve this. Create a function to update the total item count. Call this function whenever an item is added or removed from the cart. I'll add these changes to the canvas below. I made 3 edits. I've added a function called update cart item count that calculates the total of number of items in the cart. This function is called whenever there is an item added or removed. You should also add an element with the class cart count. Okay, I'll change my class in your HTML to display the updated count. So I'll change this. So let's see, where is, Did I miss it? Oh, here it is. Update cart item count. And then cart count. So this is having me this is having me get, so Monique, I think you're on the right track. This is telling me to literally just like get the length. So it must be treating cart items like an array if it can get the length, right? Because length is a property of an array. Am I right about that? I think so. So I think this is checking to see if there's a count. It's creating, so we have cart count. Let's see here. I'll put cart count as the class on this H2. No, it's up here. No, it's in my HTML. Right here. And then so we've got the element for the cart count. We've got the cart items. Yes. Okay. So query selector all. It's getting all of the cart items in the cart and it's building an array. Oh, this is actually, though, this is not correct because it's only going to total up the number of things in the cart. It's not actually going to count the quantity. So you're right. We still need to multiply the quantity, not just get the number of items in the cart. So that, good thinking, Monique, you're right. Okay. Okay. This only gets the number of items in the cart array. I need to, oh, but we could probably just get the cart item, yeah, times the number. Okay, hang on. Excuse me, I have allergies. I took a Sudafed, which is helping, but okay. So yeah, this is I'm gonna put this in, but I know this is only gonna literally count the number of items, not the full quantity of items. So I think I know what we need to do here. So this is only going to count. Oh, it's not even showing up. Oh, I didn't do the inner HTML. That's why. Did I miss that someplace? You should also add an element with the class in your to display the. Oh, that's it right there. Why isn't it updating? It should be updating right here. Emilio, I love how I don't know what's happening at all, but excited to learn Java in a few months. Uh, if you're here, you know more than you think you know. That's my philosophy. Anybody who's here right now, spending their Sunday afternoon with me, you know more than I think you know more than you think you know. But I am also excited for you, Emilio. I think you're going to be amazing. I think everybody here is going to be amazing. Okay, so we do have our cart count defined. If cart count element, cart count inner text, cart items length. I feel like, oh, we have to initialize this someplace probably. Yeah, this is not actually being called anywhere, is it? So why would they even put this here? Okay. I'm gonna take this and just put it right here. And then take this and I'll put it right here. And this should actually be, even though I know it's wrong, I'm going to do your cart Oh yeah, it still doesn't work though, does it? Does this need to be, I wonder if this needs to go after. Yeah, it needs to go after, probably. Okay, still doesn't work. Let's delete that. Is there something else here that I missed? I don't think so. Okay, well, let's just let it know that it's wrong. So, okay, so what we really need to do is, I mean, I think this needs to be inside of this add to cart function because I think adding this up has to all happen at the same time. So I think having an array where you count the length is pointless anyways, so I'm not going to try to get that working. Order total is here's item total. Well, it's back here. So it's right here. I don't have this yet. I mean, I feel like once the cart count is working, then whatever I do for the cart count, I can do for the total amount. So I think that I think that I can do this const total cart items equals equals document query selector. I mean, that just feels pointless though. I don't care about the length. I know here's my quantity, but maybe I do need the length so I can for each through an array and then get the current quantity. Const cart item do I already have this? Nope. Document query selector all cart item. Okay, so now I have my array, and for each item item equals item equals nope, it's quantity equals item query selector quantity and then I'll say if quantity, well, it does exist, if quantity is greater than or equal to 1, then current quantity, well, we have access to this, right? Current quantity times current quantity. I don't know what I'm doing. Let item quantity equal current quantity times quantity. And then we're probably going to need to do like let total cart quantity equal 1 or 0. 1. I usually do 1. Well, it would be 0 though because an empty cart doesn't have anything. And then so I have my cart array. I'm going through each item. I'm getting the quantity, the current quantity, and multiplying it by getting the current quantity and multiplying it by the actual quantity. Am I just I don't know if that's right. I don't know if that's right. Let's console log this and see if anything happens. Console log item quantity. And I'll comment this out for now. Yeah. Let the current quantity equal 1, but then we're incrementing and decrementing, so that value is changing down here. So the current quantity plus plus, current quantity minus minus to go up or down. Item quantity span, inner text, current quantity. So I think okay. We're close. We're very close. We're really close. And whatever this is, it's going to be almost identical to do the total. It's going to be almost identical to do the total. So let me no, this isn't right. I need to count the total quantity of items as I increment and decrement, not just the length of the array. Okay, so to count the total quantity of items in the cart, you need to modify the update cart item count function to iterate through all items and sum their quantities rather than just counting the number of items in the cart. Okay, so it updated this function. Okay, so function update cart item count, cart items, query selector all, okay. Here's the element where it's displayed. Initialize total quantity to 0 for each through item query selector quantity this is what I didn't do right here, inner text. And then the quantity parse int quantity text, total quantity plus equals quantity. If the cart count element inner text total quantity. Okay, this makes sense. I think there's a do you see here there's a syntax problem? It made a mistake with the syntax here. So, because this is supposed to end way down here. All right, that's fine. So, okay, so I'm just gonna copy this and then update cart item count. I mean, they haven't initialized this anywhere. This is the other thing I don't understand. Oh, right here. So that makes no sense. They haven't, I mean, they put this in here, but you still have to initialize this to get it to run. Okay. But I think this can be inside. I think this can be where we have this over here. I think that what I did is actually pretty close. So cart items, query selector all. Here's the cart count. Okay. We don't need to have this twice. Just want to make sure I don't already have these in here someplace else. I don't think I do. Nope, I don't, because we created it here and then we're using it down here. All right, well, let's see if it works. Oh, I forgot to put that in. Oh, hang on. Forgot to take it out. We don't need this. Yeah, it's still not. I think our math is just off. Maybe I do need to put it in. Okay, I'll put this in a separate function. Maybe it does need to be in a separate function. I don't know if that's the problem, but it's like one behind. And it doesn't reset itself. But also, should it be after this? Well, it was. I mean, it was after that, wasn't it? Yeah, this isn't. I mean, the other one was at least working. I feel like it has to be part of the actual function where you're incrementing and decrementing. Let's see here. So I'm gonna go back to what I had. I mean, the reason I want to have it here is because it comes right after these event listeners where we're actually going up and down. It comes after where the cart already exists. So it should be, doesn't it make sense to have it as part of, I mean, the way you add your quantity is through this function, this event listener. So doesn't it make sense that it would be part of this? Because it doesn't work at all. Even when we were counting the length, it didn't work. Having it be a separate function that you call at the end of the load JSON function. It didn't work there at all. This at least works. It's just off by one. So I feel like so we know the starting total quantity. I wonder if this needs to be before. I wonder if this needs to be before these event listeners. Does that make a difference? Ooh. No, it's the same. It's still, it doesn't add the quantity until, so here we should have, okay, so here we have 7. But it doesn't, so we've got 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So it adds 1 when you click the button. So Amelia has to head out, but hope you'll have a great day. Thank you, Emilio, for checking in with us. I loved having you here. You have a great day as well. And all of the code will be up on GitHub if you're curious. So, okay, so it does add it right. It only adds 1 when you click the button, though. It's not actually adding when you, it's getting the value and adding it after the fact. So here we add 1, but it's not listening. It's not listening to do the actual count. Okay. So we at least know what's happening there. So yeah, that makes sense because there is no event listener to actually check and see if we're going up or down. So, and these are the event listeners right here. So we need to, did ChatGPT at any point give us an event listener to do that? I don't think so. Yeah. Okay. We can do it. We can do it. I mean, I kind of feel like, all right, I mean, maybe, did it put up, if we do this function like this, and then, yeah, oh, okay, right here. Oh, I'm a moron. This is, okay. I guess I just didn't see it there. So, okay. So this does need to be its own function. And then we add that function to these event listeners. So I'm going to do that here. We get there eventually. We get there eventually. Sorry about that. If you were screaming at your computer, my apologies. Okay, we at least need to start with 0 though, don't we? Okay, so this is also, I think this also has to be down here, so we at least start with 0. Yeah, there we go. No, why? Oh, maybe we start with 1? Maybe we need to start with 1. So no, it would be 0. So it should automatically, okay, yes, 0. But so on click, it should be +1, right? Why isn't it +1ing? I mean, does this really need to be inside? Yeah, that doesn't matter. In fact, did I miss something else? Oh, it's calling it up here. What is going on here? So it called it up here. That's probably why. Beneath the, where else did it put it? So it put it here in the remove. It put it here in these 2 event listeners. This is the function. Okay. So we've got it there. And we've got it here. So we update when we remove it. Yeah, it still needs to be zero. Yeah, I know. See, I don't think it should be inside of here. It was working, right? It was working, so when you added one, it automatically added the first one. So I'm gonna put this here. I honestly think this just needs to be on its own. I think this just has to be on its own inside of this function period. Like, so in all of the event listeners, but just loaded on its own period. There we go. Yeah. See, we get there eventually, right? And then when we remove, yes, we did it. Yay. Yeah, and it added the first one before because I had the, where is it here? I didn't have this as a function. I just had all of this logic inside the add to cart function. So we have to load update cart item count just on its own without any event listeners, and then we need it to run again for each of the 3 event listeners: the remove, the increment, and the decrement. Yeah, so I don't think I need to have this down here. I don't think I need to have this down here. So ChatGPT put it as part of the DOM content loaded, but as long as this is on its own and we put it in the 4 places it needs to be, it's fine. Oh, or is it? Yeah, there we go. Or maybe it does. We probably do have to do it also because because add to cart doesn't run until, okay, that's fair. So that's fair. So we do need to have it down here. And that's so it actually loads, yeah, it actually loads on page load. So now let's get what's the thing? Your cart. So now we need to, here's the inner text right here. So we'll say your cart. There we go. Look at that. Whew. Excellent. We did it. We did it. Okay. Okay, so we basically need to do the same exact thing for the total. And I think we should be able to do the same thing here. So let's get a query selector for the total. So here's cart count, and then here's total amount. Total amount. Const cart total amount equals document query selector total amount, and then we're going to do let total amount equals 0, and then we have to remember that we're doing well, let's go ahead and get const. We'll say total amount text is equal to the item query selector hang on. Quantity, where is it here? Quantity item total. And then we'll say total equals, and we actually want to do not parse int, but we want to do so this would be maybe it is parse int. No. Yes. Yes, it is. Because it's a inner text is being treated like a string. Okay, got it. Is it? I mean, quantity is being treated like a string, but the inner text here is item price 2 fixed, decimal place of 2. Is that being treated like a string? Do I treat that like a string? And then parse int 2 fixed 2? I don't know. Well, let's try it and see what happens. So close. Okay. So it's already technically that. So let's just try it without anything. Okay, we're close. We're close. I feel like, hang on. I do feel like we need to treat this as a number. In order to get it to do the math, because right now it's just like chaining them together. Yeah. Okay, so I'm comfortable asking for help with this. Now I'm trying to get the total cost. Here is my function for what does it say here? It seems like the issue is with the total amount calculation. Currently, you are using parse int on the total amount text, which may not handle decimal values properly. It would convert $5.50 to 5. Instead, you should use parse float. Yes, to properly handle prices that include cents. Got it. I should have known that. I should have known better. Okay, hang on. That didn't work. Maybe I should read everything here first. Okay, so inner, oh yeah, and it did a replace too. Got it. Okay. So it took out the $sign and replaced it with just nothing. Then it did a parse float, and then it redid the decimal places. Wow. You guys, I think we're onto something here. I mean, I don't know. I kind of feel like the hard part might be over. Yeah. Look at that. It changes everything back. Look at that. So we've got 4 plus 9 is 13. Look at that. We did it. We did it. I think this is a perfect place to end this day. But I honestly think the hard part is over. I think we did the most complicated part. I feel very, very good about what we got done. Yes. Monique. We did it. We did it. So let's just chat a little bit about what we need to do next weekend. Yeah. So next weekend we need to, well, let's also go back and refer to we need to make sure that when somebody clicks order confirmed, we get this dialog box. And I feel like that work is done. That work is done. We just need to take exactly what exists in the cart and pop it into a dialog. And if we did it once, we can do, if we parse float. I learned that when I took Java. I mean, I actually do have a software engineering degree. I had to take Java and Python, which I hate with a passion, but it did teach me a lot about object-oriented programming. And I remember my floats and my ints. I do remember that. Floats, doubles, all that. So next weekend, we need to put what's in the cart into a dialog. The cart is done, the cart is ready to go. So like moving that into a dialog should not be a problem. We do have some more styling to do. We need to make sure that when something's selected, we've got this red border. We also need to make sure that if nothing is selected, that our empty cart appears. I felt very strongly yesterday about making sure that if I rely on a CSS sibling selector to do that. I literally don't care anymore. If I have to add and remove an active class, I will. I feel like we have so much logic at this point with event listeners that this should not be difficult to add logic to make sure that if there's nothing in the cart, the empty cart portion is showing. So I'm not worried about that at all. I don't think there's very much JavaScript left to do here next week. We just need to get this. In fact, we could take, we just have to build our dialog, which would sit hidden on the page, like somewhere down here, right? And it would be, we would set the, I wouldn't even hide it. I mean, should we hide it? I would probably, it will be fixed positioning with a Z index to put it beneath the current layer. It should be visibility hidden because I wouldn't want a screen reader to come through and read the dialog box if the screen reader is just going to go ahead and read the cart. So it's appropriate to have it be display none or visibility hidden. And that I don't know, I mean, famous last words, I don't think that it's going to be a problem to get that dialog set up next week. Do some additional styles. We need to make sure, like I said, that we're changing the active class on a full cart versus an empty cart so the correct thing shows. We need to make sure that our buttons have some hover. So right now, these SVGs are pointer event none. And the reason for that is because when I hover on this button, if this SVG isn't pointer events none, you can see here that, oh, are you gonna prove me wrong? Hang on. Well, yesterday I put pointer event none on the SVG, although maybe the click event is on the entire button. Is that why that did that? Okay, well, something might have changed since I did that yesterday. I put pointer event none on this because originally, before we started writing any JavaScript, I could hover on the button, but if my mouse was on top of this SVG, I couldn't click the button. So I did pointer event none, but some of the event listeners that we've written now might be negating that. So that might not be necessary any longer. But because I have pointer event none here, we need to make sure that these buttons have some sort of hover. And I think that's in the design. Yeah. So we need to make sure that those buttons have a hover and really an active and a focus. Speaking of focus, let's come through here. So here I am. I'm going to enter. Then I'll tab again. I'll enter, but nothing really happens. And then I'll enter here. Okay. And then I'll go back. So that's good. And then I can enter all the way through the document, and then I get to the cart and I can enter and enter to close. So we are able to tab through and those buttons are accessible. So we did that last week. We made sure that we were set up last week to tab through appropriately. So yeah, I feel like we need to do what I feel like I know what we need to do next weekend. I would love to tell you that we'll finish doing all of this on Saturday next weekend, but let's just plan on the fact that this is going to be a Saturday, Sunday thing because I don't know what's going to happen. We'll run into bugs. Something won't work correctly. I also want to just set aside time for some generalized QA. So if we want to, I do kind of want to adjust my grid a little bit. Like, let's put a couple things in here. And I do have this magnified. So let's go back to 100%. Oh, maybe it is okay. The cart feels a little squishy. Oh, maybe it's all right. Maybe I don't need to worry about it. Yeah, I guess that's okay. What's our iPad view? What does our iPad view look like? iPad Air. Yeah, that looks okay. I'm guessing an iPad mini. It would be dropped down to the bottom. Yeah, maybe we don't need to worry about that. All right, I won't worry about that. I'm still going to say that we need to set aside the entire weekend next weekend to finish this. Get the sidebar sorted out, write our remaining styles, just make sure that we've got enough time to do all the things. And then, yeah, I need to start thinking about what I want to do next. After we finish this, I was kind of thinking about, let's see here. I was kind of thinking about doing, showing people how I design a style guide, to encourage front-end developers to start being more comfortable and develop their sense of design, their sense of style. Not that I think front-end developers need to be designers. I just think it's really, really helpful in this position to have a good sense of style. And if you have any interest in freelancing or contracting, or even if you're just on a smallish size team, it's really in your best interest to be comfortable sort of flexing that design muscle. So I want to spend some time let me pull this up here. I recently ended my relationship with Adobe, and I've switched over to, oh, crikey, hang on. I lost something. I lost my window. Where are you? Okay. I recently switched over to Affinity Photo, which is the Affinity, which is an Adobe competitor. They have a free trial for like 6 months. Thank you, Monique, for that feedback. Oh, I'm not sharing my screen. Let's go back to reading. So this is Affinity Pro. I've been an Adobe Creative Suite user for, I mean, since like 2009, a really long time. I'm pretty comfortable with Photoshop. I've used Photoshop for years to design mock-ups and do wireframes. I really, really like it. I think Adobe is too expensive. I think they're getting kind of predatory and shitty when it comes to AI and using their customers' work. I don't like some of their business practices with how they like wrote people into contracts. So I've just sort of ended my relationship with Adobe and switched to Affinity. It's their main competitor. I really, really like it. I've been using it to do, well, not so many wireframes recently, but I, do all my YouTube thumbnails, things like that. I really like it. It is very, very similar. Here we go. It is very, very similar to Adobe Photoshop. I mean, it's really almost identical. So if you want to follow along, the next project we do is going to be, day one is going to be almost exclusively in Affinity Photo. You could use Figma, you could use Sketch, you could use Photoshop, you could do any design tool that you're comfortable with. And I'm going to build a design style guide for a portfolio website for myself. And then the next day, the following day, I'm going to show you how I actually build a style guide in the browser. And it's literally just defining our buttons, our fonts, our color palette. And it's really kind of like this primer for actually building out the website. And I think it would just be really fun to show you ways to build mockups and to get more comfortable with design. Because here's the thing, as front-end developers, what is traditionally going to happen in your job is that you will most likely have a designer on your team, and your spec, your documentation, what you need to do is going to be the design document. You will be expected to take the design document and put it into whatever design tool is being used, whether it's Figma, Sketch, Photoshop, whatever. Everything you need to know will be in that design document. You will have to convert the pixels to rems. You will have to convert the points to, the points to pixels, the points to rems, things like that. You need to do all of that stuff. It's not going to come with a written set of instructions. So I do want to encourage people to get comfortable with some of these design tools. Plus, I think it's just going to be really good for you to help you develop an eye for design and to get more comfortable with it. So if you are absolutely against that, I'm just letting you know ahead of time what we're going to do. But I would encourage you to have an open mind at the very least. So next weekend, let me pull up the calendar here. Next weekend is the 16th and 17th. We're going to continue to work on the cart. And then plan on the 23rd and the 24th, we're going to start working on a style guide. And then after we do the style guide, I am going to start building a new portfolio website for myself. And I'm going to sort of combine some of the things that we've already done. I'm also going to show you how I just go out and get sort of like user UI element layout type inspiration. So from Pinterest, I've got screenshots from other sites that I've done over the years. I have my own collection of Photoshop mockups, and I'm actually going to start building a static portfolio site from start to finish. Also, YouTube on the back end in YouTube Studio is telling me, hey, people are searching for how do you build a basic portfolio website with HTML and CSS. Like people are looking for content like that, and I'm really good at that, and I want to do that, and I need to do one for myself anyways. So that's probably going to be our project through the end of this year on the weekends. But we need to start with a style guide. We need to define like our fonts, our colors, our UI elements, things like that. So, um, yeah, here we are. Thank you to everybody who joined me. Gosh, it's already 4 o'clock. Time flies. Time flies. Um, if you don't currently have a design tool that you're using and you want to learn something, I cannot recommend Affinity Photo enough. I am enjoying using it so much. They have a 6-month free trial. They have designer and publisher. So publisher is like their InDesign, Adobe InDesign, and then designer is the Adobe Illustrator. Really excellent tools. And quite frankly, dirt cheap. I mean, I just went ahead and bought the license for all three, and it was like $170, and it's a lifetime license. So, can't beat the price. But if you just want to give it a shot, they have a 6-month trial, and yeah, follow along. If you really want to build a website for yourself, get comfortable using some of these tools, because if you can define what you're doing ahead of time, it's going to make the build process so much easier, which is why I love building off of a design spec. Even when I just have a picture, like a JPEG of something, I really enjoy that process. So, okay, I'm rambling. Everybody, thank you so much for joining me. Have a great rest of your day wherever you are. I will see you next weekend. We're going to finish up this product cart with list. And yeah, I got big plans to take us through the end of the year. So have a great rest of your weekend, and I will see you later.